clear, coming through Geocache talk. A voice on the line I hear, coming through Geocache talk.
Ready for an adventure that welcomes everyone? Dive into Cache Odyssey. Cache Odyssey is 6 fully accessible geo tours where every geocache is designed for everyone, regardless of their abilities. Each hidden cache tells a unique story, bringing people together on a journey of discovery. So, whether you're a seasoned geocacher or a new adventurer, get ready to experience the thrill like never before.
Hey, Geocache Talk Network fans! If you love what we do and want to support the shows, we've got 2 great ways to help keep the adventure going. You can join us on Patreon at patreon.com/geocachetalk for exclusive perks, or if you prefer a one-time boost, buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/geocachetalknetwork. Every bit of support helps us bring you more geocaching fun, stories, or shows. So whether it's a membership or a coffee, we appreciate you being part of making the Geocache Talk Network operate. Thanks, and happy caching.
Have you subscribed to FTF Magazine yet? FTF Magazine is the #1 geocaching magazine available. It is a quarterly magazine that you can be part of. Submit your geocaching milestones and adventures to be published. FTF Magazine is also interactive with puzzles to solve and the hunt to find Spartacus. If you can solve the puzzle or find Spartacus, then you will be entered in to win a special pack tag. Every new subscription, you will receive a special swag pack. Subscribing is easy. Just visit FTF's website, ftfgeo.com. Don't miss out and subscribe today.
Logwork, the creators of the fantastic logbook, made with genuine write-in-the-rain paper. The logbook's designed for the micro-containers of the present and future, geared towards the hider who'd rather go caching than doing cache maintenance. Find them at logwork.com. That's logwerk.com.
Calling all geocachers. At artedcrafted.com, we create unique apparel designed by geocachers for geocachers. From custom t-shirts to personalized mugs, our gear lets you express your passion. Stand out at your next event with artedcrafted.com. artedcrafted.com. Gear up for your next geocaching adventure.
All right. Big thanks to our new patrons, Captain Math, Data Wrangler, Old Bowler, Lost Kin, Whidbey Island Gal, and Cash Karma. And of course, thank you to all our patrons for keeping the show on the air. It's not a free thing to do. We have to pay for many different parts. And thank you, patrons, for keeping the show on the air. And we really do appreciate you. All right. Let's bring in our guests for tonight. Obviously, my co-host, Jesse's with me tonight. There he is.
Good evening.
No pizza tonight. No pizza for you. No pizza.
No pizza for me. I'll be okay. I'll survive without pizza.
I will too. Although our normal other co-host may not survive.
Although, he's not here tonight, but I sent him earlier this weekend. I saw a thing on social media, and I don't really get on there a lot.
Sure.
As everybody gets onto me for, but I saw a thing, and I don't know if it's true, but CC's Pizza, you're familiar with CC's, right? Do you have CC's Pizza in Texas? Okay. They have a challenge.
Yep.
Because I love food challenge YouTubes, right? That 2 people eating a 28-inch pizza.
Okay.
And drinking 2 32-ounce drinks, sodas.
Okay.
Within 1 hour, and you get $500.
No way.
That's allegedly. So I looked it up, and there's a different version of it here in my town, but they do have an actual pizza eating challenge at CC's Pizza. So
do that
I'm
myself.
going to have to investigate that. I sent it to John, and he said, we got it. So
yeah.
That seems like a good event, a good geocaching event.
Absolutely. Well, we are going to Pies and Pints. So before we go too far, we got to do some news. But before I do that, let's bring in our guest for tonight. There's the man. Oh, wearing his Cache Odyssey shirt. There he is.
He's one of those guys.
Dude, I am.
He is one.
I am looking for a Cece's as soon as we get off of here. There's got to be one.
You
Now,
could tear through a
granted,
28
inch pizza is a large pizza, though.
Oh, it's
It is
massive,
big though.
but it's
It is
$500.
massive.
I did the pizza trail with Pizza Ninja, and we downed an awful lot to get a T-shirt. So $500
Yeah.
is a little different.
That's got to be a pizza like this big around, though.
Old
This is
hard
crazy.
cash, 28 inch. Yeah, where's my measuring tape? In the other room. Sorry. Oh well. Yeah.
You don't
That's
have a
a big
28 inch
pizza.
coin in there, Gary. You don't have a
Two
coin. that's that big.
people. Two people though. Come on. I mean, the
That's
motivation
still
of
a
that.
lot of pizza.
It's
It
getting
is a
up
lot
to
of
a
pizza.
yard in diameter. A yard
Yeah.
in diameter.
Yeah, that is a lot of pizza.
And I mainly bring this up, one, because I sent it to John, and two, because I wanted to spend the first several minutes with him not on here talking about pizza. So just so when he
Right.
goes back and able to watch this, he gets mad.
Right before I got on here, man, I ate
Yes.
some Donato's pizza. Big
Donatos.
See, that's like an 8-inch pizza right there, and it's bigger than your head.
It is. You're right.
So come on now. That's anyway. Okay. All right. I did that
All
enough
right.
to torture John. Let's move on to real news now.
All right, let's do this. Quick note on souvenir coming out. So join us in welcoming the arrival of the equinox in the northern and southern hemispheres with a unique souvenir from HQ. To earn the March equinox souvenir, find one geocache, event cache, or adventure lab location between March 20th and March 23rd, and you will receive that souvenir.
So that's March 20th to the 23rd.
Yes.
Okay. So do
Yep.
anything geocaching related and you get the souvenir.
Pretty much.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I have to ask, and this is for the audience. So does anybody care about this souvenir? I'm just
The people
asking,
that-
like, and I understand some people are big into the souvenirs. They collect those. I'm not one of those people. I only care about the country souvenirs. And I really only care about that because it's a new country, right? Not because it's a souvenir. But I know there's different parts of the game for everybody, but Equinox, I mean, like, I don't see, yeah, okay, whatever. I guess, to each his own. That's what we always say, right? Everybody have his own little thing that they play and do stuff. But you see this, and then you see like the treasures is such a cool concept they're coming out with. And then they go, hey, exciting news. We got an Equinox soon. All right, cool.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a retired guy, he has, I think, and either he's gathered up the most souvenirs or he's close.
He's got the most country souvenirs, right? Isn't that what it is?
Well, I think he also has the most souvenirs, but you're right. He has the most. He has the most countries, I think.
He has the
pretty
most
sure.
something. He's insane.
most souvenirs,
flying around
I
the world
think.
and stuff.
He's got a
and
lot
Houston
of
Texas Dave says souvenir hounds want it. And I guess that's what my comment was. Like, I don't think I know any souvenir hounds. I know there have to be some, but I don't know that I know any.
Yeah.
You also have brand new cachers like that didn't have, like, you and I have been at this since souvenirs began. So we got this whole stockpile of souvenirs, but then they get these challenges. They're like, you have to have 100 souvenirs. The brand new people are probably, hey, I got to get some. So they throw them out there for Equinox Day.
Okay, well, here's a good test. How many do you guys have? Without looking them up, come on. Make a guess.
I don't even look, so I couldn't even tell you without
I'm in the
looking.
300 or 400, I think.
Are you really?
That's a pretty big range, 300 or 400.
It's crazy. Like,
300 or 400.
Well, that just says that none of us are souvenir hounds, I guess. But I want to have somebody on that's a true souvenir hound, like that's their shtick, and just
I'm looking
to get that motivation for people. I want to have somebody on like that.
Forget you. I'm looking. Now that you mentioned it, I want to know.
Oh gosh, now I'm gonna have to look.
Is there a number? Is there a number somewhere that I can?
Well, if you go to Cache
how do I
League,
tell?
And you go to your profile.
Oh wait, here it is. Souvenir count. I have 196.
I have
196.
209. Oh, look at that. I guess that's a milestone. I'm at 298. So 2 more. Do I get them? I guess I have to go get the Equinox thing now.
I'm
I
7
guess
behind
now.
291.
Yeah, y'all got more than I. So there you go.
Well,
Good job.
298. But I mean, again, I'm not an anti-souvenir. I don't think it's stupid for other people to go do it. It's fascinating. It's always fascinating to me when there's a little thing that comes out and you're like, oh, that's right. That's somebody's whole thing that they're into. There's no doubt that somebody's like, I have the most souvenirs in my whole state or county. Somebody knows that number.
Yeah.
And it's awesome for them. I mean, I think it's great, right? Like, I don't know. Every once in a while it strikes me as funny that like, that's your, like, again, we talked about it a long time ago. I accidentally found out in Project GC that tracks the most photos uploaded. Somebody knows that they're the most photos uploaded in their state. There's no doubt in my mind. Somebody knows that, right? And that's to me, that's awesome. Like, there's so many things you can do with this game.
Oh, good grief. Yeah, for that's for sure. All right, quick update. I did find out that hopefully next week I should be getting the corrected Jasmer coins. They're supposedly shipped. I should get them next week, and then I can send out all the current orders. Once I'm at that point, I can then reopen for purchase the Jasmer coins in the shop, and they will be available, and we can get back on track with them.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it was a simple manufacturer error, and it'll still get to everybody, and it works out.
It'll be fixed. Yeah. All right. And then now let's do this, and this will be our last item in the news, but let's do this.
The adventure of a lifetime is setting sail. Join us on an unforgettable cruise to Sweden, where geocaching meets breathtaking Nordic landscapes. Alongside our friends from the Geocache Talk Network, we'll explore hidden treasures, swap stories with fellow geocachers, and unlock the secrets of Sweden's most scenic caches. But that's not all. This trip is extra special. We're on a mission to find the legendary fourth loop of the Jasmer Challenge, GC4D, the Match Stash. This is the oldest currently active geocache in Sweden and the second oldest in Europe. It is still being maintained by its original owner. From sunrise over the Baltic to the thrill of discovering hidden gems, every moment is a new adventure. Pack your phone and trackables, bring your sense of adventure, and get ready for an epic journey. This is geocaching like you've never experienced before.
So, just so I let you give a quick update. One thing I should mention, we should really call it more of a Baltic cruise, because if it works out, and I'll let you explain what it's not. Calling it just a Sweden cruise doesn't really do it justice.
That's true. It doesn't. But we did that because that's the number one priority, right? GC4D is the number one priority for the whole thing.
Yes.
Probably based on the cruises that are out there and available. And we are talking to people to see which ones are the absolute best. For those in the Facebook group, you'll get the information first. We'll obviously talk about it online. On the air as well. We'll probably launch out of Amsterdam, and Sweden will be on there. There's a few other countries close by that'll be there. The only reason we haven't said it publicly yet is because we want to hone in on what's actually possible before, because somebody may get super excited about a country that's not available, right? There's only so many cruises. We have to get what's available, what's there. And it seems like for people that don't cruise a lot, don't cruise internationally, 2026 is so far away. It's not an international cruising. We're up to doing it now. So we're doing a lot of work behind the scenes. We promise for those that aren't interested in cruising, you're going to be tired of hearing about it. For those that are excited about it, we're going to be doing all kinds of crap about it over the next, till the next summer when it actually happens. So Amsterdam is really likely. We can probably confirm that part right now. Be a couple of things we're checking on to see how many countries. Probably 6 is what you'll end up with.
Yep.
Depending. And about 11 days. So we're confirming which ones are even available for us this. And I know it sounds like it's not a short time, but this is a short time for 2026. So really, really soon, we'll have some more information. We don't want to put anything out that's not going to be available. So the information will be out soon. If you're interested at all, send us an email. We'll get you in the Facebook group. that's where the information is about to start flowing very quickly and regularly. We'll have all the details. We'll let everybody know what's going on. And there's some certain things you have to do with passports and insurance, things like that. If you haven't traveled internationally, which a lot of our people have, you may not know all these things. We're going to be blasting with all that stuff to make sure everybody is aware. One simple thing, which I think has already come up in the group, is you have to have a passport. Everybody knows that, but your passport has to be good for at least 6 months after the date of your trip. There's certain rules like that people don't think about, right? Like there's a lot of things you have to think about. So that's the advantage of doing this trip together. No, it's not a Sweden trip, Baltic trip, it's Baltic, but Sweden is what we're going for. And hopefully within the next few days to a week, we'll have definitive information on what this cruise is going to look like. And we'll start setting up a schedule of when we can actually book into it and everything else. And that'll be really soon. And if we even get close, if we even get half of the people that said they're interested in it to go, this will be one of the most epic things I've ever been involved in, without a doubt.
Yeah, we've already gotten a lot of people. Let's just say a lot for now, and then everybody in the group will know how many, but we won't have to put that out there yet because there's a lot of people. So our listeners, if you're interested, email us at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Let us know also, because we're guessing right now. So if you're interested, then, there's no commitment now. You can email. Now, if there's like a 0.001% chance you're going, then please don't email me.
Yeah.
But if you
can, but you'll be getting a lot of Facebook stuff for no reason. Yes. You're welcome to come on and check it out. Maybe it'll get you excited, but
maybe it will.
This isn't like a mega. We don't need 500 people to do it or whatever.
Right.
So,
and your will attends won't matter because at some point you're gonna have to put down some cold hard cash. So
that's right.
But if you're potentially interested, email. You put you on the list. I mean, obviously, at some point you can always tell me, pull me off the list because I don't want to do it. But geocachetalk@gmail.com. We have a private Facebook group, but I also have a group of folks that aren't on Facebook, and I'm keeping them updated separately. So I'm sort of doing it two waves. So not a big deal. If you don't want to be on the Facebook group, you don't have to be. That is fine as well. So there you go.
Geocache Talk. Understand that.
Yeah.
Completely understand the Facebook thing. I get it.
Yep. So any more information there, we'll give it to you. And that
we should have a lot more information in the next 5 to 7 days.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's get into it. So, Brian, welcome.
Thanks
for being with us tonight.
Talking about epic things, that's going to be. I'm interested in that for sure. I got to make sure I'm on that group.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about other epic things like Woodstock in West Virginia. It's going Giga, I heard. So I'm pretty excited about going to Woodstock, and I hope everyone that cares about geocaching gets to show up for that. I'm pretty.
When I heard the lodging in Morgantown, it's kind of drying up. So I hope you've secured yourself a bed somewhere for
I hope
Morgantown.
So too. It'll be warm by that time. It's Woodstock. I'm sure I could find a bench somewhere.
That's right.
The reason I said that's because he's bunking with me. So separate beds. We're no spooning going on. You're going to have your own bed.
We're not asking questions, Gary. It's okay. We'll see who snores the
Stay
louder.
in your bed. Do not come over to mine.
Gary, people are asking about the Facebook group. If they email us, you'll get them in the Facebook group, right?
Yes. Yeah, I'm not telling you.
We didn't send it out publicly because it's just for the people that are interested in it. It's not a public group. So just email geocachetalk@gmail.com. We can get you in the Facebook group.
Yeah, it's a private Facebook group.
Yeah, we didn't want
even if I get
trolls and everybody else getting in there and stuff like that because we're gonna be talking about actual plans in there. So
yeah. So you definitely.
Now that I'm done
all right.
on Jesse a little bit on the Gigastock, what do you want to talk about, Gary? What should
We're
we talk
leaving
about?
him alone. We feel bad. He can make another one. That's okay. There'll be another one. There'll be another one one day. All right. Walk us through how you even, before we get to falling off the cliff, let's get to controlled falling off the cliff.
I don't need this kind of harassment.
What'd you get? Yes, are you going? Stop it. That is harassment.
It is. It's bullying.
It is harassment. You can't.
Owen's right.
Yeah.
Geocaching is for everyone, even Jesse.
It is for everyone. So how did you hear about this cache? And if people want to play along, let me give you the GC if you'd like to follow along, play along at home as we do this. But so how did you hear about this cache? It's for those listening, it's GC AV is in Victor, E Edward, C is in cat 4. GC AV EC 4. Davies Island Country Club. Ooh, sounds like a really tough geocache with its country club.
So
how'd you hear about it?
I'm a member of so many geocaching Facebook groups. It's not even funny. And specifically GeoCoin Facebook groups. And somebody posted, hey, I just got this Chris Mackey GeoCoin and I put it in my cache for first to find. And I'm like, oh, I wonder where this is. So I just went down the rabbit hole, clicked on the link and went and looked at it. And it was a 5 terrain. It is 5, right? Or was it 4.5? I can't remember.
It's a 5.
No, it's a 5.
2-5.
And I always get excited about the high terrain. That's just something that I really enjoy looking for those. I was like, oh, it's probably over in like Washington or California or something. And then I saw that it was in Nashville. I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and Nashville's about a 6-hour drive for me. I'm like, oh, I really want to do this, but that's right on the edge of my leash. But I love going to Nashville. I've been there a few times, and I have actually a friend who lives there. So I read about it and just kind of thought, maybe something will pop up. And I was doing some kayaking caches here in the Columbus area with one of my buddies. Yep. And I told him about this crazy cache that I found out about. He's like, what's the GC code? Look it up right now. I'm like, we're on the river. Like, actually, we're heading to the next cache. And I'm like, all right, let me pull it up real quick. And I start reading about the country club. And the description is fantastic. Just come and join us. And
it is awesome.
It's really funny, but then you start seeing what is really involved. And he went, this sounds amazing. And I said, well, it sounds amazing to me too. And by the way, there's another one by the same cacher, not too far away. I don't know if you want to pull that one up too, Gary.
Yeah, the other GC, and I'm showing on the screen too. It's on the island, right? This island I'm showing.
Yes, the one that we're specifically talking about with the main story is on that island. The other one,
yes. Let me pull it up here. The other one that you did this one first, which was the GCAK 6H8 was the first one he did of this group pairing of these two.
So when I was telling him about this one, he was so excited. I'm like, well, let me tell you about this other one that I saw, because what I did was I looked at the cache owner and I went, all right, what else is this guy hidden? Because
sure,
I don't necessarily trust some dude I've never met before that his stuff is legit.
Sure.
Since no one had gone to find it yet. I'm like, I don't know. And then I went and found this one and realized that he was a legitimate terrain cache hider. And and he had just posted, somebody else got first to find, but I went out to do a cache maintenance run. So I put another Chris Mackey coin in here for second to find.
I went, great, well, Chris Mackey. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm like, First Mackie coins, high terrain, Nashville, Tennessee. I mean, to me, that got me excited. And when I mentioned it to my buddy, he's like, okay, when are we going? Like, it wasn't even okay, let me think about it. It was, when are we going? And so this was in August sometime. I started looking at my calendar and trying to figure out what we could even do. And it turned out I had Labor Day weekend free. So I messaged him and he said, okay, Labor Day weekend, we're going. Like, it wasn't even let's think about it. It was, we're planning this. And so we spent all of August, watching these 2 caches to make sure no one else was beating us to it. Just to see if anyone else was getting in there. And so he has an inflatable raft. He has a couple kayaks too. What? Yeah, my buddy. Yes. My buddy has an inflatable raft, and we were like, well, we can all get in the inflatable raft. My son decided he wanted to go with us. So it ended up being the 3 of us, and it was just 3 kayaks on a car driving 6 hours. It was a little nervous. So we had his inflatable raft, and I've used it before. It's a pretty nice inflatable raft. Yeah. And so we got there to Nashville late at night, spent the night at my friend's house, and then got up early the next day and drove to the first stop, which is along this river. And there's all kinds of construction along the side of the river. That's why you can't just drive up to it. Like, we saw all kinds of entry points to get to the cache that might be easier, but because it was construction and like a site, it was definitely off limits. So we went to the put in. They told us
this is the first one,
right? This is the first one.
Mm-hmm. This one here, the root rock, root rock, because it's buried in this up here on this hill.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And so we put in and we kayak. We go ahead.
Go on. I was going to say you got a hike. You get a kayak out to it. Here's another picture that somebody posted, and then you got to get up there somehow.
Now, I don't understand. Why would you do this? Spend a whole weekend, go to 2 caches. You could have just gone to the rep stop and get a couple hundred. That'd have been much easier.
Because I don't care that I have 291 souvenirs. That's why.
Oh, okay. I got you.
I literally love, and actually that's a fun part of the story that I'll save for the end. That I love this part too, but we'll wait till we get there. But the river was completely calm. I had never been on a river that wasn't flowing one direction or the other. I mean, it was just completely stagnant, and it smelled like it.
Right.
But at least it made it so that we knew, we were paddling, 2 miles to 2.5 miles. I was afraid because I've paddled against the current before, and I did not want to deal with that. So we were actually pretty thrilled with that. But it was still, it's a 2.5 mile trek out there and a 2.5 mile trek back. And when we got there and you saw the picture of that rock wall, I was in heaven.
Yeah.
I love climbing that kind of stuff and getting out and adventuring and getting up to stuff like that. So we get up there and found it, obviously. And the coin was still there, and we got the second to find. So that coin, I actually have it here. The Fenris Wolf coin. I don't know. There we go. Oh, wait, did I have the?
There you go.
That's right. Upside down. There we go.
That's okay.
So that's the nice. Is that okay?
Nice. Yep.
I thought that was
very
cool.
Mackie coin. Of course they are. They're all cool. So
they are, and I love
they are
fantasy stuff particularly. So that was a double bonus for me. And so, I asked Jeff Carrot, and Jeff's my buddy, and he said, "No, man, I'm just glad we came out here. This was just so much fun." And so
that's cool.
Got back down.
I'm sorry. So you just did. So you all just climbed all the way up to this thing, and then climbed all the way back down, and then kayaked out of there. That's like a full day.
It was a long time. And by the way, on the way back down, it's like every other terrain cache. We found the faster and better way back.
Of course.
Well, I'm sure you did.
But we got back and we paddled all the way back, and had to deflate his raft.
Kayaking.
And
Yeah.
then we're like, all right, we're 2:00-ish. Do we want to still try to do this? And we looked at the time and everything. And we're like, it means we're going to get home really, really late because we weren't planning on staying in Tennessee. We were driving the 6 hours back too.
Wow.
So we did the time crunch and went, if we get there, because we did the checked how long it was to get from the put in place to the island, and it was less than a mile. It was like half a mile to 3/4. And we're like, we made that good a time on a 5-mile trek. Half mile is not going to be that big of a deal. So we decided we're going to go ahead and go out and at least look at it. And when you make it that far, you're like,
gotta go for it.
You might as well keep going, right?
Mm-hmm. So one of the pictures that I sent you, Gary, was the picture that I got from the shoreline of the island. Like if you see the one with the actual, that's on the island.
That's up there. I think. Hang on. Yeah. Where is that one? I got it here. Yeah. Here we go. So this one's different. This one is.
It looks different from the one on the screen, and I'll explain that to you.
Okay, I'm sharing it right now. Hold please.
It's making exciting radio. Go ahead.
So
exciting.
Yeah, that's it. So it's a big lake essentially with an island in the middle of it, and it looks different than the one on the front page. And I'm honestly not positive if the one he put on the front page is of the actual island, but it definitely felt like that. It definitely fit the theme. And if you come at it from, you're looking at the screen from the left, I could see a possibility of that picture being taken and being the one that he put on there, but I'm not positive.
Right.
Sure.
We did some terrain research on it before we got there, and there was a spot to put in around the island. Like we'd have to go kayak and paddle around the island a little bit. And
right.
Okay, the front
he
page,
did put.
Someone just posted in the thing. The front page photo is actually next to Davies Island. Okay, so that would make a little bit of sense.
Okay. So he did put that. He did put a waypoint after he published the cache. You guys were sort of like not quite sure, and then you didn't reach out to him to get it, but he did post a waypoint for you. Is that correct?
He did.
We're not for you, but for cachers.
Right. We did all the research to make sure that we knew where to park and everything. We were pretty sure about it. And then he posted that, and that kind of scared us because it was a couple weeks before we were going to go. And it scared us because we're like, oh, now people know where to park. And they didn't do their research, and now they've got the research done for them. And so we were like, all right, that might entice some more people to go. But like I said, nobody went. So we got out there and took our went across the lake, and we thought it would be really easy. Well, the trouble is it's not a kayak. It's an inflatable raft.
Right.
And so we're paddling with that. And while we're paddling to the island, there are speedboats zooming back and forth in front of us, creating incredible wakes that are just pushing us right back to the shore. So we are paddling with all of our might and trying to get over these waves that are just coming at us, and we're just up and down. And he's like, "You got to paddle faster." I'm like, "Dude, I'm doing the best I can." And when we finally got over there, we were exhausted.
Oh man.
From getting across all the wakes from all these speedboats running in front of us.
Right.
And so we just found the fastest place to put the boat so that we could get out and get up the hill and start working on this. Instead of going to the place that was very clearly from the terrain markings, the better place to climb the hill.
Gotcha.
So we got out.
You got to make it harder. 5 is not hard enough. You got to amp it up a little bit.
Exactly. So we get. I'm assuming Meet the Bushes is Geo Bushman. Is that you?
Oh, see if Meet the Bushes may be the CO, which we're hoping he'd be on, to in the chat room for us to discuss.
He can tell us about these Photoshop pictures that never really happened.
Photoshop. So the first one, it's basically a cliff where we put in the boat at, and you can see some of the pictures. I showed some of the cliff side, and you showed one of them a second ago along the little cliff area.
Yeah, it is the CO, and they're dying laughing listening.
So,
all right, keep going, Brian.
Well, the one thing I
now
go ahead. Oh, go ahead. All right.
No, I was just gonna say, you're pretty worn out at this point.
Very much so. And Jeff is afraid of heights. My buddy is afraid of heights.
Oh boy.
He's actually gotten really good at it since we've been geocaching together, and he's learned how to overcome it a lot. But as we're climbing up this thing, first of all, you got to get up the cliff, and I made it up that fine. And then it's a really, really sharp.
So the CO says, "I never thought in a million years anyone could make it up the way you went." So clearly you went a different route than the CO did to hide the cache.
So I go up this crazy steep thing that I'm guessing it's a 75-degree angle. I mean, it was, and what I'm doing is I'm finding trees, putting my foot on the root of the tree basically, and then reaching and making a quick jump to grab the next tree and pulling myself up for a little while up the side of this slope. And so we're both trying this. That's actually at the top. That's at the top where the sloping is bad. If you show some of the others, you can see some of the crazy. There was some of the cliffs that I had to climb up along the way. But it was a horrible angle, and I'm pulling myself up this side and pulling my way up the tree, grabbing a hold of trees, pulling my way up, pulling up to the next spot. Jeff is back behind me going, "Man, I don't know if we should do this." And then we hear thunder. It's pretty clear day still, so we're like, all right, we got some time, but we definitely heard some distant thunder, and we're like, all right, what do we do? And then I finally got up to a spot where I was no longer dragging myself up. I was finally able to put my feet down and kind of crawl a bit.
Right.
And I make it up high enough that I am at more of a hill angle. And so once I'm there, I'm like, I've already made it this far. There's no way we're stopping at this point. We're 6 hours away. And Jeff says, "You go on ahead. I'll keep an eye on the boat."
Right.
And I said, "All right, buddy, that's it. That's actually a good idea. We need to make sure that because we didn't know what the storm was going to do or anything else. So
turn around, Brian. Turn around. Go back home. You've already got one. Just go home.
The thought crossed my mind a little bit, but once I finally got up the hill, it started. It started this even out into the slope, and it turned into more of just like what you'd normally do walking through the forest. And I literally started running because I'm like, I want to get to this thing. And I was excited at that point. And come up
this
to
is
it.
At the top, near the top.
That's up. That's the kind of stuff that was at the top. So it was a very typical thing. But you can see over to the right where it's starting to slope down a bit.
Sure.
You can see that tree is a bit lower than the others, but that's still near the top, kind of where it flattens out a little.
Right.
And the cache was in a very, it was a cool spot. It was an obvious find, and I found it. And on the description, it says it's full of marbles because anybody that comes up here to find this cache has lost their marbles, so you may need to take some with you. So,
I love that.
That is awesome.
I got my marble.
There you go.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, Brian's showing his marble.
I grabbed 3 of them, one for each of us. And
Wow.
the GeoCoin.
And he's got the Chris Mackey coin. There it is.
Cthulhu.
The actual coin. He was there.
That one is
so
pretty
I guess
cool.
he's telling the truth. Jesse, I guess it's legit.
Hey, I don't know. He may be Meet the Bushes himself. Somebody in the other room is typing it on the chat right now. Who knows?
Maybe
I'm just kidding. This is awesome though. I like it. This is my favorite type of geocaching right here.
Mine too. I was on cloud 9. I was so excited about this. I'm like trying to message people, but then I see that the sky is getting darker, and I'm like, all right, I got to grab a few pictures to prove that I was here. Like I do it as fast as I can. Try to grab some pictures of the hill, but anytime you take a picture going downhill, it just looks flat. But it really didn't capture it very well. I tried to get a few, but nothing really shows.
So at this point, you got back in the boat and you headed home. So I don't understand what the rest of the.
Yeah.
That is not what happened. Oh wait! There's more.
There's more, and you're still at the top, and you got to get down. You can't go the same way. You can't because it was a cliff.
Yeah, I mean
you went up this.
You learned your lesson on the way up, right?
You can't go back down. You could climb up it in a 70-degree angle, but if you can't go back down that.
You can't go down a 70-degree angle, not safely. No.
So I actually did look for the path that would have been better, and the weeds and the grass was up to my chest, and
wow,
it was crazy. And sticker bushes, weeds, grass, all that mess, and I actually lost track of where I had gone down in the first place. So I'm just sitting here looking up at the sky, hearing the thunder coming closer, and going, I got to get back down this thing and get back to the boat. And I can't go down on the other side of the island where he intended us to go because the boat's all the way around the edge, and my buddy's not.
Right.
We had enough trouble with 2 of us in the boat. He isn't going to be able to come around and get me by himself. So I find what looks like the best path down. And I start kind of scooting my way down, and then little by little that slope gets worse and worse. And I didn't realize I was actually at a worse angle than when I first went up. I was further around the edge of the island that was even steeper. As it gets down to about 45 degrees and the stuff's getting worse, I'm just sitting down and scooting because I don't want to like run and all this. And I'm scooting down, and all of a sudden I start sliding. I'm like, hey, I can just slide down this hill. That'll get you back.
Sure you can. You can just leap, at some point. No.
But I did.
You're literally going to slide. You're literally going to slide down this hill. It's what you're thinking.
It's exactly what I was doing because it had leaves and loose soil. So I'm like, I can just slide on the leaves and loose soil. And I was looking for trees. So I would slide a little ways and slam into the tree, basically.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, all right, there's my next tree. And I would slide and go slam into that tree. And meanwhile, as I'm sliding, I reach into my back pocket where all the coin and the marbles and everything were, and my phone.
Wait, you don't have a backpack with you? You don't have any kind of way to? No. Okay. All right.
Why would you do that? Why would you have safety equipment?
Just asking.
Nope.
Okay.
None of it.
Nope.
So I reach around in my back pocket, and my back pocket is the snap had come open in my sliding.
Oh, no.
And my phone's gone, the coins are gone, the marbles are all gone, and I look back up this hill that I had been sliding down and making the soil even looser, and it was another 100 feet back up the hill. So I had to turn around and claw my way back up. And
crawled. I don't know how you crawled back up. I really don't, because at that point,
you got to be tired by this point too.
It was desperation because I could see myself leaving the coins sort of and the marbles a little bit, but my phone
Yeah.
That was the one thing I'm like, I have to get back to that.
That's literally your lifeline.
I mean, I didn't know where I was going to come out at the bottom
Point
either.
on the side of the hill. You just can't do that.
So got back up there, got it, and I secured it a little bit tighter, tried to find a way to, and checked way more often from that point down. And it kept getting more and more steep.
Right.
And then the big moment happened. I could see the water below me. And you saw, I finally got through the brush and the trees and everything enough that I could actually see. There's I could see that. And you can see the cliff face there. That's what I was looking at from up above, because I took that picture after I had gotten down. And I went, okay, I do not want to go over that. Up at the top of where that the fallen tree is where I wanted to land and then climb down from there was what made sense to me. So I saw a tree. I'm like, all right, I can go after that tree. I'm going to slam into it. And then I should be able to lower myself down from there.
Slam into it.
Like it was steep at this point. I knew I was going to hit it pretty hard. And so I start sliding down and I missed the tree. The gravel or something. I can't even remember what happened. All I know is, oh crap, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I rolled over onto my belly at this point to try to make more surface area.
Try to slow you down.
Trying to slow myself down in any way that I can. And so I'm rolling over. I'm trying to look over my shoulder, and I reach my right arm out, and I see this little tree, probably about that big around.
Yeah.
And I grab a hold of that tree and grip it with all my might, because it was the last tree before the cliff. And I'm already scooting at a super high rate at this point. And I grab a hold of that tree, and I like thinking of it as a Mission Impossible. You know, that makes it sound a lot cooler in my head. But I did. I hung on for dear life, and swung, like literally swung. My arm went straight up, and I was just hanging there. And my buddy described it later. He said all of a sudden he heard all of these splashes in the water from all of the rubble and the branches and everything else. Oh no, he's fallen in the water, and I've got to go drag his butt back over to the other side.
Wow.
So he started yelling for me, and I yelled back and said, I'm over here. He was so happy to hear my voice. So he had to like climb his way around the side of the island to get over there.
Right.
Coyote is probably closer. I agree.
Yeah.
Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise feels a little better, but it probably was more like Wile E. Coyote, yes.
Like Wile E. Coyote.
Thanks, Quincy.
Oh my gosh.
So then I grabbed a hold of that and was able to then lower myself down. That's how close I was to the cliff. I could actually, there's another foot before my foot touched the cliff. But because I lost all of that momentum, I was able to lower myself down gently, hit that. And once my feet were on solid ground, I was just so happy to not have gone over the cliff. I was literally expecting to slide over it. And you got a couple of pictures that they took of me on. Yep, those are the ones. And then those are also what my aftermath looked like on my back and my side from all the road rash, essentially, sliding down the edge. And that picture is literally where I had walked down from off of the cliff.
So above you, above that picture, that's where you stopped, is up there with the tree.
Yes.
Yeah, you'd have been a goner, dude.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
There's zero doubt if you went down at speed and dropped that. That's only like 5 feet down.
Yeah.
On the solid rock. Yeah. If you'd have hit that, you'd have been a goner.
Cracked skull.
There's no soft landing there, right? Like you may have survived, but they couldn't do anything to get you off of there.
Not anytime, not quickly, because you got to then
the speed that you slide at. People don't think about this, but the speed that you slide at, if you hit your head, there's a reason why we wear helmets and stuff, right? If you hit your head like that, you're a goner, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, those scrapes feel bad, but that's nothing like hitting your head.
Exactly. No, I am incredibly thankful for that. I had there's a song called "Gratitude" by Brandon Lake, and that was running through my head the whole slide down. And I'm just so thankful that I didn't go right over the edge. Yeah.
Amateur Gadget Geocaches says your shirt, which says geocaching killing it, shirt was 2 on point for that day. That's insane.
That's just, yeah.
Oh my.
You don't realize how quickly a situation can go from like totally normal to, oh crap.
Really bad.
And it switches that quick.
And then the final piece, and this is that was the scariest part for me personally. But the final piece was we still had to get back over across the lake again.
Right.
And it's a storm, so all the speedboats are trying to hurry up and get back.
Oh, of course they are.
So we're still
so now you're trying to
paddling, and the waves are getting worse because of the storm coming in too.
Oh man.
And so the storm's getting worse, the waves are getting worse. The skies are pitch black, like they are gray at this point, and you see lightning. We're seeing lightning, and we do not want to be on this lake. So we're paddling as fast as we can, and we were about 100 to 200 feet from the shore, and my hand cramped. I have never had this level in my life. I could not open my hand. It was stuck like this. Like I even reached down and grabbed my fingers and was like trying to pull them, and I couldn't. And so he had to paddle the last 100 to 200 feet by himself because I literally couldn't move my hands. And I just kept apologizing. So he's like,
wow.
Dude, you went through all that and you're apologizing for this? But he got us up to the shore, and then we had to drag it back. And right as we hit the shore is when the heavens opened up, and it was just
my gosh,
downpour.
Probably getting darker and cloudier too the whole time, right?
Yep. And so we dragged the raft back in, and then of course he had to get all the air out of it. And meanwhile, I can't help because my hand is stuck. My son got out of the car to come help him out and empty out the air and everything. And finally got into the car, and after about an hour, my hand started finally half hour, probably closer to a half hour. My hand started finally loosening up, and was able to then.
You're probably dehydrated and everything else too.
Yep. Well, we did have some
some
Snapple and no, it was a Gatorade. It was Gatorade.
Little bit of electrolyte there. So, what went through your mind when you grabbed that tree, the only one left?
Remember, this is a family-friendly show, so
yes.
The only thing that went through my mind was I didn't remember seeing that tree there. I was just glad that it was. Like,
yeah,
I really thought I was aiming at the last tree, and it was just a little bit further down, but it was a lot smaller than the one I was actually aiming for, and it was obviously a lot closer to the cliff too. I didn't have to slide quite as far. So what went through my mind is, thank goodness I didn't go over. Like literally, I was scared. I was incredibly scared in the slide, saying, I don't know what I'm going to do. Do I just digging my feet into the ground, hoping that I could get enough traction to slow down at least.
Right.
And just rolling around a little bit, just trying to make it stop, trying to get enough, enough. That's the only thing that was going through my head. It seemed like forever. It was one of those, it felt like forever, but I know it was a quick thing.
Yeah.
I was right at the bottom already anyway. It wasn't much further.
Flash.
Survival instincts at that point.
Yeah. That's a lot of what was going on there.
So in hindsight, which is always 2020.
Save my butt. He does not have to go back and get credit.
Yeah.
In hindsight, how would you have done that one differently? Like, well, for example, nobody else has found this cache yet. Just you two guys. What would be your advice for this cache? And then I want both you and Jesse to talk about in other caches like this, but on this one, is there a better way you think, or does the CO, would you looking back at it, would you have contacted the CO and said, hey, which side of this little island do you think we should tackle this? Or how would you do it? How would you do it differently?
The only thing that I could think that I would even consider changing would be trying to get there earlier so that we could make it around to the entry point that we wanted to get to. It's a much better place around the edge for this cache that this is good. Go ahead and read that.
So there's a slight indentation, or go ahead, you do it, Gary.
I was going to say the cache owner put a note in the chat room. He says there's a slight indentation or cave or cove on the left side of that island. I parked my canoe there and climbed up the back. I backslid quite a few times also, but the front face looked impossible. Also known now as the Brian face.
That's right. That's not the part that was sliding down it, but go ahead.
I 100% I 100% agree that that's where we should have gone up. And when I was looking at it on the way down, it looked way better. Obviously, if you do it after, in the late fall, early winter, where all of those thorn bushes have died down a little bit, that would be the ideal time to go after this. I also wouldn't have used an inflatable. I totally agree with Owen from KC. Never use an inflatable. Mm-hmm. And always take water in a small first aid kit. Those are all great suggestions.
Yes.
We just thought it would be. I thought it looked like a short little hike when I went over, and I didn't realize how steep it was. And like the cache owner said, it wasn't meant to be. We just went up the wrong way because of just the circumstances.
Sure.
As far as contacting the CO, I am still very much, particularly with First to Find, of a mindset of I want to get there myself. If I want to claim that First to Find, I want to put in all the effort. I want to put in all the work. I don't want the help from the CO at that point. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I do all of my higher terrain. I like being surprised by it, having the fun of it. I think, I don't know. I'm kind of going back and forth on this because that definitely would have made it a little bit different for us, knowing how crazy it actually was and how much worse.
Go ahead, Jesse. I got something.
Yeah, there's a slight delay, so I'm trying not to talk over you.
No, you're fine.
I kind of go back and forth with this too, right? So first, I'll say that the owner, they're putting it out there, and part of the difficulty of a cache like this is navigating to the cache. How do you get to it, right? So that's part of the challenge. So he didn't even have to put where he got there, anything else. He put it out there, come find it. That's the thing, right? So that's how much the owner wants to put on it. I think he did perfect. The only thing the owner did wrong was he should have hid one 550 feet away and published it the day after it was found, First to Find, just to torture people. But no, I'm just kidding, of course. But so that's just part of it, right? And that's where that a true 5 terrain is something that's mentally and physically challenging to get to. I don't mean to solve the puzzle or anything else like that. I mean, it's the physical challenge of getting out there and get to the island. The mental challenge is it's dangerous, and you've got to figure out what to do and be safe, and you got to know what the safest thing is. Now, I've done both ways, just like you did. I like the challenge of being able to get there first and doing it all on my own without any help, but it depends. Like now, sometimes when I'm going a long distance, and 6 hours is a long way, but I mean like flying or going on a trip somewhere that I'm not going to get to come back to, sometimes then I will do a lot more research because I want to make sure I have everything. Now, I don't want it to be spoiled, but I don't want to get there and go, oh, you need a ladder at the end, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So I will do research, but it's a balance because you don't want to spoil it because you want to have the accomplishment of, just like you did, you found a way to get up there. That's part of the accomplishment. So it's kind of a balance. You do need to know what you're getting into physically to know that you're capable of it. And I'm glad. It's probably a good thing there's not tons of these caches, but I'm glad they still continue to be put out because some people don't go for souvenirs. Some people want the physical challenge and to be a little bit scared when they're doing stuff. That's their part of the game, and that needs to continue to be part of the game. And I'm surprised that geocaching is still allowing caches like this because they're pretty worried about getting sued and all that other stuff, right? Even though they have a good team up there, that liability is still there. So my thing is, while these are still out there, go for them, because there could easily be a day where they're not allowed to have caches like this out there. So they are a treasure right now. Push your limits as much as you can. And we say the safety side too, right? Don't go past your limits, but push it up to that edge so you get that experience. Now, your edge may be going to the second parking lot from the first one. That may be your edge. Or your edge may be going out on a river and risking your life. You decide what your edge is, but push it to that edge. Push yourself, but know what you're capable of. And I think this is a perfect example of that. Awesome job by the CO putting a cache out like this. He didn't just stick it out there and go get it. He did a good cache page. It's a funny story. That's compelling. He obviously did it himself. Like it wasn't just some
part's funny.
And then it challenged you to go all the way down there to find it, right? Like you drove 6 hours to get to this cache. And that's inspiring that if you put out a cache out there and somebody goes, I'm going to drive 6 hours to get to this, you've done something, right? Like you've created a story that now, of course, sometimes your story's not going to be heard by as many people, but right, like this story's going to be heard by a bunch of people, and people are going to get inspired by the fact that this kind of caches are still out there. And they're in America, at least, there's not as many of these as there are in some other countries. I know, right? There's the riskier ones, but
no, that's true.
Every one of these that's out there and somebody's able to safely walk away from, that's an awesome story that you get to tell even to non-geocaching people. So I love this kind of stuff.
So a couple things. The CO does make a good point. So sometimes a 5 is misleading because a boat required can mean really hard or really easy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true. So a 5 terrain. Now you did say it was a difficulty 2, but that's the thing is that the difficulty 2 part is really the hide part, which is at the top of the hill. I mean, so in my mind, it doesn't become a 2 difficulty until you're at the top, and then you're searching.
Once you get there,
like, okay.
finding the cache is the 2 part.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's interesting that he did it that way. Now, some cache owners will make it a 5-5 because the difficulty they mix the terrain and the difficulty together sometimes.
Yeah, people inflate a lot of times, and I like the fact that he did his as a 2-5 because it's according to what you described. That's what it sounds like, right? A 2-5, and
that's really more accurate.
Just because it's on an island does not make it a 5-5, right? So
right.
And here's the problem with inflating things. This is a 5. This one is a true 5 terrain cache.
Yes.
When you put out caches that are BS 5 terrains, it makes people think that once they've done some of those, hey, I can do any of the 5 terrains. No, you can't. No, you just because you went and got an inflated one and you think you're in Texas and you need a 3-foot step ladder to get it, you think that's a terrain 5 and they're all that safe. That's not the story. That's not the true story, right? I mean, like if that's all you'd seen and you go out here, you'd be in danger. If that was your limit, this would be beyond it. So I think that's, and we're not that we're going to get into that, right? But the appropriateness of this cache is what things should be. This is how a cache, that's a true 5 terrain. That's setting kind of a benchmark, right? That's what a 5 terrain is. So when you have these inflated ones, it gives people a false sense of security. And this is a great cache, even without you almost dying, right? Like this would have been a good exemplar cache anyway.
Exactly.
So
Even if
and it's in a beautiful area.
Yeah.
So even without the river and the death and everything else, this is still a cool cache. So I love this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and
so a couple. Go ahead, Brian.
I'll just toss in there. The other thing that the CO did right, he gave all of the information that was necessary. We did the research. We found the cove he's talking about. You did not. It wasn't like it was hard to figure out where the best place to put in was. We just ran out of it. We were exhausted at that point. And he actually described to me, like I've been messaging back and forth with him. He said 2 things that I loved. One of them was that when he did it, he went up the way that he intended. And like you said, the thing is, he's dragging an ammo can full of marbles and
Yes, up there.
swag up this thing. I just said, holy cow, I can't believe that you did this. You know, knowing that he came up the other side, it totally makes a lot more sense. But it was still him putting it up there, the effort that he went into to put this cache out there and to make this awesome write-up and everything. So amazing. And I the other thing I want to do was answer Streck too. The answer is no. I probably would not have gone. You asked, would you have gone for a micro? I don't think I would have. I think it was the combination of having two caches that looked awesome, both of them having a Chris Mackey coin in it. I thought that was an amazing treasure to go after, and the first to find on top of it. So you know, I still would have gotten the first to find in the cache area. Still would have been awesome, but the fact that it was a regular
cache,
with a prize in it, was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's just everything you want in a cache right there. That's everything, right?
Yeah.
And I want to kind of flip it back the other way too. He put in here that the find was the greatest experience I've had in the game. I'm thankful truly have someone like KBLAST find it. He must not know you very well. If he had logged TFTC, I would have been deflated. So true, right? Like if somebody goes to this kind of effort to put out an awesome epic cache like this, because this will be one of those stories you have, right? You have those top stories that you explain to people about geocaching and stuff, but you did the right thing and put a great log on there. And these are the caches that are worth
wrote a whole paper,
right?
On it.
Yeah, he's got a little dissertation in here.
It's great.
But
you got
in
one,
photos,
2, 3,
right? But I mean,
1, 2,
yeah.
3,
Could you
4,
imagine putting TFTC on a cache like that?
5,
Like,
6,
come on now.
7, 8, 9. It's like 10
I did
paragraphs.
that one time. I was doing a tree climber. It was a multi with 4 tree climbs, and I posted a TFTC. And the CEO wrote to my friend and said, "What is wrong with this guy?" Like he was yelling at what I was joking. I put TFTC, then wrote the real log up, and then posted it after the fact.
Right.
But he was so mad at me. He was like, this jerk. We did all this. We had this. I thought it was hilarious. But
well, and somebody just asked that came in a little bit later. Where did you find out about it? You found out in a Facebook group. And I will say that this is where, and like we try to do the same thing here on this show. But if you find an epic cache like this, share that story. Like you don't have to give away spoilers, but share that story somewhere in geocaching groups on Facebook or social media or whatever else. One, so that hopefully other people will go, oh, I can hide something like this and people will get it. But two, so people can hear about it and that could be their epic adventure, right? Like not everybody knows about all these things and not everybody's connected, but they hear about it. That may inspire them to bring their game up that much higher. It's worth sharing the stories, not everything, because somebody that just joins, they may only know about what's in their little neighborhood and, they think that's the whole game and that's not the whole game.
So we're wrapping up. Well, I'll give everybody sort of final thoughts, and I'll go first, and then I'll let Jesse, and then we'll let Mr. Scarred Man do it. Mr. Raspberry all over his body. So I know Brian I know Brian well. He takes some risks, but I don't know you, Brian, to ever make an uncalculated risk. You always kind of, even though this was a little harrowing, you kind of had you did at least have a plan in your head. But one thing I wanted to say to folks is that, and something that Jess said earlier, is you got to know your limits. We have heard, we are kind of having fun with this a little bit tonight, but as far as safety goes, the other thing that comes to my mind is the gentleman who passed away in Louisiana. That probably from dehydration. I don't think they ever was able to, I think that was the final conclusion for him, but he was going out to get the oldest in Louisiana, many people have gone out to get the oldest in Louisiana. And many people have come. Obviously, they all but I think he's the only one I've heard of that ever had died on that particular trail. But the different miscalculations that people can make, you kind of have to sort of, we have to learn, from these kind of things. He didn't really tell people where he was. He kind of told his family roughly where he was, which didn't really, it kind of made things, the fact that he didn't tell people made it more difficult. You obviously knew, you obviously had, son nearby and so forth. You had somebody with you, this gentleman didn't have anybody with him. I mean, it took a while to even decipher where he could have been. I mean, we had people searching in Arkansas to see if he signed the log in Arkansas. And then we made the deduction that he was, the last place that we knew about him was in Louisiana. So to make that a shorter statement, and that is, you gotta plan some of those things, and you got to know ahead of time, some of the things, like one of the things that you mentioned, were more tired than because you had done the other cache. So, I mean, there was some things that you obviously learned from this, but and you mentioned there's some things that, you kind of can take from this for the next one. But anyway, go ahead, Jesse.
So Gary did our safety disclaimer. So I'm going to move on past that. And here's what I'm going to say.
That's fine.
I'm not a good example. So I have been caught in blizzards, and, the authorities had to be called because we didn't show back up in time. I have been caught out without water in a group that we miscalculated. We had the maps, we had the distance, but we should have pulled the topo maps to find out where we couldn't get around and couldn't get through, and ran out of water, had to have somebody come get us. I had been out by myself and definitely underestimated the terrain before, because I was used to some higher, more difficulty terrains, and I thought this would be a quick one, and got stuck in a crevice before. I didn't have to eat my arm off, luckily, but I got out of it. But it was a thought for a second. I was like, this isn't a good way to go out. I've had two stupid swimming. This is the things that come off the top of my head, but two stupid swimming things. One was I was swimming because I didn't have a boat. And the second one, I was swimming because it was the first time to use an inflatable raft, and I did not do it properly. So you don't bring a boat thinking you're going to swim, but whatever, it happens.
Exactly.
And here's my thing, though. So Gary already did the safety stuff. Here's my thing. I don't regret any of those. I am happy that I live a life that I get to take chances, and I was able to do things like this. And I don't feel like I would still be in the game if I hadn't pushed it enough to keep me excited. Now, I'm not saying that everybody should do that. I'm a pretty capable person, but I can also push it past my limits just like anybody can, right? So, I don't know. I go for these things. Your limit may not be what he did and almost died falling off a cliff, right? That may not be your limit, but I'm not going the safety route tonight. I'm going to say push your limits, push it as far as you can to what you're, just on the edge of what you're comfortable with, and a little bit further. Don't jump out of a plane unless that's your thing. Never doing that again. But do the things that push it a little bit, right? If you're into a little bit of excitement, geocaching is a great platform for it. Now, take safety precautions, bring water, bring an emergency, spot or whatever else you need to do, but also put yourself in situations that are a little bit uncomfortable so you can get outside your comfort zone. And I think geocaching is a great opportunity for it. You can still do it in groups. You can take people with you. Don't do it solo all the time, but take the opportunity, push yourself a little further. For this year, that may only be, going on a 2-mile walk in a city park. Okay. If that's the most thing you can push yourself to, do it. Push yourself a little bit, and then a little bit further and a little bit further. Do your research to where you feel comfortable, but I say push it. That's my message for tonight.
Cool. Brian?
Well, I have two quick ones to kind of wrap up. First thing is I am a guy who wants to do everything. Like, I'm a completionist. I want to wipe out every cache on my map. I want to experience everything that geocaching has for me, from high terrain to, a few weeks ago I was getting ready for the Giga Woodstock, and they have a 600 adventure labs there. And I had never done that before, so I sat there for an hour and a half doing the adventure labs to get 600 finds. And so one of the proudest things that the CEO wrote back to me, he's like, I saw the number of finds you have, and you're not the kind of people that go after this kind of cache. And I am. I love every kind of, I'm not just a numbers guy. I'm not just a terrain guy. I want to have every experience possible that geocaching can give me. And so that to me is my love. As far as the safety issue, I knew I was going to be on here. And so I actually messaged my daughter, and this is a story for another time, but she fell out of a tree that we were going after one time and broke her neck. And this was 15 years ago. She did this. We were doing a geocache, and she fell out of a tree, broke her neck. It was a whole thing. She had to have screws drilled into her head and a halo and the whole thing. But I messaged her specifically asking this question. I said, do you regret, like, I wasn't being a good dad and keeping you safe and making you use your harness and your ropes and all this stuff? She said, Dad, I wouldn't have listened to you anyway. You could have told me to do it, but I was sure I could climb that tree. I was positive I wasn't going to have any trouble. And no, I don't regret it. You can die you can die on the street driving a car. Why would you need to live life, and you need to get out there and do things that you enjoy. And that's from my daughter. And I agree with her. I think that there are,
that's awesome.
Put in some things to be careful, but live life and take advantage of the fact that we have this awesome hobby that gives us the opportunity to do amazing, amazing things like what we got to do there.
You just summed up everything I love about geocaching, right? Like, and we've talked about this before. I think geocaching is kind of a reflection of how you live your life, right? Like, you geocache in the same style you live your life. Just like you, I like everything about the game. I want to experience everything in life, and I want to push. Sometimes I want to push to the limit. Sometimes I want to do other stuff. I want to do what's in the game, just like I want to do in life, right? Like, just enjoy all of it. You've only got so much time. We're lucky to be around at the time we're in and everything else, and go for all of it. And whatever you like, go for that. It didn't have to be all one thing. It should be as many different things as you can. And it's just like in life, geocaching is what you make out of it.
Yeah. And I guess we came back around. We'll wrap up. We'll say goodnight. But I agree completely. There is a slight balance that you want to do that, but I guess my final analogy would be, if you want to jump out of a plane, you want to experience that, you're definitely going to have a parachute because you want to be able to do it again. So you don't, it's like anything. You want to, you want to push the limits, but also you want to be able to have a few safety items to help you to push that limit. So, there's the combination, and you don't have to go, like we all know people that they live their life way too safe. I mean, there's people without getting into all of it, but you got people today. I saw somebody today, it's like wearing a mask in your car driving. It's like, I don't think you're going to catch anything by yourself in a car. If you want to wear a mask in your car, I guess that's, what do I care?
That's your life. Go for it. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's a point where maybe some people are overcautious, and they unfortunately, they live their life that way, and they're not going to try things that they, and some people said, like you said, they're going to at the end of their life, and we're going to look back and go, so did you were in, this location, did you go to the top and oh no, because I was afraid I might sprain an ankle. It's like, there's a point where you kind of have to sort of, take calculated risks in your life, because you're gonna look back like Brian's doing and going, yeah, that was awesome, but we had to be careful going down. So yeah, so the CO, here's a good final point. The FTF coin says cash while you can, and he does believe
I love
that.
it.
We do too. Cash while you can, because there'll be a point when you can't. So all right, well, thanks everyone. Quick note, doing some of John's work tonight, so stay with me. We do have challenge talk coming up. We got R. Reagan's going to be on talking about the DeLorme challenge. A lot of people don't even know what the DeLorme challenge is, so this is a good chance to learn about that. So that'll be here in a couple days. We'll have on Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern, 8 Central. R. Reagan, good dude. He's going to tell us and discuss about the DeLorme challenge. So anyway, again, thanks everybody for being with us tonight. Thank you, Brian, for sharing your crazy story. We always love your wild stories, my friend. So all right. Well, good night, everybody. We'll see you next time.
May your finds be many, and your DNFs be few. May the terrain and difficulty both be less than 2. And whatever it is you're looking for, may it find its way to you. And may we all meet again.
Folks, we hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. Please email us your comment at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The show can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, or Spotify, as well as at the Geocache Talk website. Don't forget to click that subscribe button below and ring that bell notification so that you can see and hear the show on a weekly basis. And tell your friends about the show. Get them involved with us in the chat room. And until next week, don't just talk about geocaching, go geocaching.